The Alien Academy was the grandest place of learning in the galaxy. Its walls were made of silver stone, glowing softly under the twin suns. Students from many worlds walked its halls, carrying books, tools, and strange devices. They came here to study science, diplomacy, and survival. Every alien child dreamed of entering this place, for it was said that only the brightest minds were chosen. Among them walked one figure that looked very different, shorter, softer, with plain brown hair and two simple eyes. He was a human, the first ever allowed to study here. The human's name was Daniel. He had arrived from Earth only months ago, but already he had become a strange subject of both curiosity and suspicion. Some aliens whispered that humans were weak and fragile, not fit for the academy. Others said humans were unpredictable, dangerous, and should not be trusted. Daniel did not care. He walked the halls with quiet steps, carrying his satchel, listening more than speaking. He felt like a stranger in every room, but his heart was calm. He knew he did not belong, but he also knew he had no choice but to prove himself. On the first day of the new season, the students gathered in the grand hall. The hall was huge, its roof high as the sky, carved with images of stars and planets. Hundreds of students sat in silence as the High Master entered. His tall body shone with green light, his robes heavy with golden threads. His voice echoed across the chamber as he began the lesson that every alien feared. Today, the High Master said slowly, we speak of the Earth fruit. The room grew tense. Every alien shifted in their seat. Some lowered their eyes, others whispered nervously. Daniel tilted his head, curious. The High Master raised a crystal bowl in his long fingers. Inside lay a cluster of red, round fruits, smooth and shining like drops of blood. Their smell was sweet, sharp, and strange. This fruit, the High Master declared, comes from the human homeworld. It is the deadliest thing our kind has ever studied. One bite is enough to end a life. It poisons the blood, it burns the heart, it kills within seconds. To us it is death. To you it must be forbidden. Gasps filled the hall. Some students shivered. Others turned their faces away as if the fruit itself could harm them just by being near. But Daniel blinked in confusion. He leaned forward, staring at the fruit with wide eyes. His lips curled into a faint smile. He raised his hand timidly. Excuse me, Master, he said in his soft voice. That's not deadly, that's just an apple. The hall went silent. Every alien stared at him. Whispers broke out like a storm. Apple? Did he say apple? Does he not understand? The High Master frowned. His eyes glowed. Human, he said firmly, this is not a thing to mock. Many species have died from a single taste. You must never touch it. Daniel's smile only grew. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a small brown bag. He untied it and the smell spread instantly through the room, fresh, crisp, sweet. Inside were 3 apples, red and shining like jewels. Without fear, without hesitation, Daniel raised one to his mouth, and before anyone could stop him, he took a big bite. The sound of the crunch echoed through the chamber. Juice dripped from his lips as he chewed calmly, his eyes bright with simple joy. The entire hall erupted. Students jumped from their seats, some screaming, others covering their eyes. A young alien girl cried out, "He will die! He is killing himself!" The teachers froze, unable to move, their faces pale with terror. The High Master dropped the crystal bowl and it shattered across the floor, but Daniel simply swallowed, wiped his mouth, and took another bite. He smiled as if nothing had happened. "See?" he said, his voice light. "It's just food. On Earth, we eat this every day." The aliens stared, their bodies stiff, their breath sharp. No one could believe what they were seeing. He should have fallen, he should have been dead. Yet here he stood, alive, strong, and even happy. The apple was almost finished in his hand, its core shining white. The High Master's voice shook as he whispered, "Impossible. This cannot be." But Daniel only shrugged. "To us, it's normal. My people grow thousands of these. We call them apples. Children eat them. Elders eat them. Everyone eats them." The silence grew heavier. Aliens looked at one another with wide, frightened eyes. If this fruit was death to them but life to humans, then what did it mean? Why could humans survive what killed others? What secrets did Earth hold? Daniel finished the last bite and tossed the core back into his bag. His face was calm, almost amused, but deep inside he could feel the weight of every eye watching him. He knew this simple act had shaken the academy. He knew things would never be the same again. The High Master finally raised his hand, his voice trembling but loud. "Guards," he commanded, "take the human away. We must test him. We must know why he still lives. And as Daniel was led out, the aliens whispered in fear and wonder. Some said the Academy had lied. Some said the human was cursed. Others said he was blessed. But all agreed on one thing. The human had broken the greatest rule. He had eaten the forbidden fruit, and nothing would ever be the same. The grand hall of the Alien Academy was still ringing with the sound of shattered crystal. The apple core had disappeared into Daniel's bag, but its memory stayed sharp in every alien mind. The students sat frozen in their seats, their eyes wide, their breath heavy. No one dared to move. No one dared to speak loudly. It was as if death itself had walked across the stage and smiled at them. Daniel stood calm, brushing his hands against his trousers, as if nothing had happened. He looked around at the crowd of terrified faces and felt a strange mix of confusion and amusement. To him, this was nothing unusual. He had eaten apples all his life. His mother used to pack them in his lunch. His father used to slice them in the evenings. On Earth, they were as common as bread. But here, in this shining academy, the simple act of eating an apple was shaking an entire galaxy. The silence cracked with a sudden scream. A young alien girl leapt from her seat, her skin flashing bright red in fear. He should be dead already. He ate poison. Her voice echoed through the hall, sparking chaos. One by one, students scrambled to their feet. Some pressed against the walls, trying to stay far from the human. Others shouted in panic. He is cursed. He carries the poison inside him. Keep him away! The sound of hundreds of voices rose like thunder. Daniel frowned, holding up his hands in peace. Calm down. I'm fine. It's just fruit. Look, I'm alive, I'm breathing. He even laughed softly, but the sound only made the aliens tremble harder. The High Master slammed his staff against the floor. A flash of light shot through the hall, demanding silence. Yet his own voice trembled when he spoke. Stop this madness. Guards, secure the human. From the far doors, tall armored figures marched in. Their heavy steps boomed against the stone floor. Their weapons hummed with power, glowing blue at the tips. They surrounded Daniel quickly, forming a circle of steel and energy. Daniel sighed. This is a mistake. I didn't do anything wrong. You broke the oldest warning of the Academy, the High Master said, his green eyes blazing. You have eaten the forbidden fruit, and yet you live. That should not be possible. The guards grabbed Daniel by the arms. He didn't fight. He let them pull him forward, but he kept speaking, his voice calm. Listen to me. On Earth, we eat this fruit every single day. It doesn't harm us. It helps us. It gives us strength. The aliens gasped again, their whispers filling the air like buzzing insects. Every day? All humans eat it? How can they survive? The High Master looked shaken. He turned to the elders seated high above, their faces hidden in shadows. We must take him to the testing chambers. We must know the truth. As Daniel was dragged away, panic spread through the academy like fire. Students hurried from the hall, rushing into the corridors, their voices carrying wild rumors. The human is a demon. He eats death and survives. What if he is immune to all poison? Some aliens, however, did not run. They stared with wide, curious eyes. A tall alien boy whispered to his friend, "What if humans are stronger than we thought?" The friend shook his head quickly. No, they are dangerous. If they can live through this, what else can they live through? In the testing chambers, Daniel was forced into a glowing seat of restraint. Strange machines hummed around him, their arms moving like insects. The guards stepped back, leaving him under the watch of scientists with long fingers and bright, cold eyes. Scan him, ordered the High Master. Light beams crossed Daniel's body from head to toe. Symbols flashed across the machines. The alien studied the readings with growing shock. No poison detected, one whispered. No damage to his blood, said another. Heart stable. Lungs normal. Body perfectly healthy, added a third. Daniel smirked, his voice light. Told you. Nothing wrong with me. Humans are fine with apples. The scientists exchanged nervous glances. It cannot be, one murmured. This fruit has killed countless species. Even the strongest warriors fall after one bite. Yet this human, he is untouched. The High Master's voice grew sharp. Are you saying his kind is immune? Yes, whispered the lead scientist. Humans are different. The chamber fell silent. The weight of the truth pressed heavy on them all. If humans could survive what destroyed others, then what else could they endure? What dangers could they walk through that no alien could follow? Daniel leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. Maybe instead of fearing me, you should learn from me. There are many things on Earth that might scare you, but to us they are normal. The guards shifted uneasily. The scientist backed away. The High Master stared at him with eyes full of both fear and curiosity. Outside the chamber, word spread faster than fire. The academy buzzed with panic. Some aliens wanted Daniel expelled, calling him a walking danger. Others whispered that he might be the key to new knowledge, new survival. The division had begun, and in the middle of it all, Daniel sat in the chair, his lips curling into a small smile. He had eaten the forbidden fruit and lived. The academy would never see him the same way again. But deep inside, Daniel also felt a shadow of worry. Because he knew this was only the beginning. The testing chamber of the alien academy was silent except for the hum of machines. Strange blue lights moved across the walls, flickering like lightning. Daniel sat strapped to a glowing chair, his hands locked by shining cuffs. He looked calm, almost bored, while the aliens around him whispered in fear. His brown hair fell into his eyes, but he did not blink. He simply stared at the scientists moving nervously from screen to screen. The High Master stood tall at the edge of the platform. His long robes shimmered with gold, but his voice was sharp. "You say the human is unharmed," he told the scientists. "You say he is normal. I do not believe it. I must see it with my own eyes." One scientist bowed his head. "High Master, we ran full scans." "His blood is clear. His body shows no damage. It is true. Humans are not poisoned by the fruit." The High Master's green eyes narrowed. He raised his hand. "Then we test him again. No tricks, no excuses. We place the fruit in his hands and make him eat it before us all." Gasps filled the chamber. The scientists exchanged uneasy glances. The guards shifted their weapons. Some whispered that the human was already cursed. Others said forcing him to eat again was dangerous. But no one dared to argue with the High Master. Daniel leaned back in the chair, his lips curling in a faint smile. "You don't need another test. I already showed you." The High Master's voice boomed. "Silence. The Academy will not accept rumors. We will see with our own eyes the truth of what you are." Two guards stepped forward. They placed a small silver tray before Daniel. On it rested another apple, red, smooth, shining as if it had been polished with fire. The smell drifted through the room, sweet and sharp, making every alien flinch. To them it was poison. To Daniel it was breakfast. He sighed, shaking his head slightly. "You really don't understand, do you?" Then, without fear, he bent forward, took the apple in his hands, and bit into it. The crunch echoed again, sharp as thunder. Juice slid down his chin. Daniel chewed slowly, letting the sound hang in the air. The aliens gasped. Some turned away, unable to watch. Others stared with wide, trembling eyes. The High Master's jaw clenched, waiting for the human to collapse. But Daniel swallowed, took another bite, and smiled. Delicious, chaos broke out. Scientists rushed to their monitors. Guards raised their weapons as if the human might explode at any moment. Students outside the chamber pressed against the glass walls, whispering in fear. "He lives again. Impossible. No being can eat it twice." The High Master's face darkened. He pointed at the scientists. "Measure everything. His blood, his breath, his heart. Show me what protects him." Machines hummed louder. Bright beams scanned Daniel's body. Numbers filled the air on glowing screens. The readings showed perfect health. Strong pulse, clear blood, no poison, no damage. One scientist whispered, "It's true. He is untouched." Another muttered, "He eats what kills us. His kind is immune." The High Master gripped his staff tightly, his knuckles pale. His voice was low and dangerous. "Then humans are not weak at all. They are something else." Daniel finished the apple and tossed the core back on the tray. He looked straight at the High Master, his eyes calm but sharp. "Now you've seen it with your own eyes. Do you believe me?" The room was silent, but the silence was heavy. No one wanted to speak, but everyone knew the truth. Then a new voice broke through the chamber. It was deep, strong, and filled with anger. A young alien prince stepped forward, his tall frame covered in shining armor. His skin glowed with blue fire, and his eyes burned with pride. He pointed at Daniel. "This is no proof," the prince declared. "The human is tricking us. I challenge him. Let him eat again before the entire academy tomorrow. If he survives, then perhaps he is what he claims. If he dies, the shame is his." The chamber gasped. The prince was famous, proud, stubborn, and cruel. Many feared him. But now he had set his sights on Daniel. The High Master hesitated, then nodded slowly. Very well. Tomorrow, before all students and teachers, the human will eat again. We will end this question once and for all. The guards pulled Daniel from the chair. Chains rattled as they dragged him back to his quarters. Yet Daniel did not resist. He walked with steady steps, his face calm. Inside, he felt a small thrill. This was no longer just about an apple. This was about respect, about fear, about power. As the doors closed behind him, the academy buzzed with noise. Rumors spread like fire through every hall and room. Some said the human was a demon who carried poison in his blood. Others said he was a miracle, a survivor of death. The truth was still unknown, but one thing was certain: tomorrow, the whole academy would watch. And Daniel knew, deep in his heart, that his life at the alien academy had just become far more dangerous than he ever imagined. The next day, the alien academy gathered in the great arena, a place usually used for tournaments, debates, and grand trials. Its walls rose high and shining, filled with carvings of alien victories. Thousands of students sat in the circle of seats, whispering, waiting. Even the elders had left their shadowed halls to witness the event. The twin suns poured golden light into the open roof, but the air felt cold with tension. At the center of the arena stood Daniel, the human. His wrists were no longer chained, but guards surrounded him, their weapons glowing with warning. He looked up at the crowd, at the endless sea of alien faces filled with fear, curiosity, and doubt. He could hear their voices like waves. Is he really immune? He eats death and smiles. What if he is lying? Daniel adjusted his shirt, standing tall.
He did not look frightened.
Inside, his stomach twisted, but his face remained calm. He had been through worse. If an apple could shake an empire, then maybe an apple could also earn him respect. The High Master raised his staff, and the arena went silent. His green eyes burned with tension. Today we settle the question, he declared. Yesterday the human ate the forbidden fruit and lived. But doubt remains. Today, before all the academy, we will test him again. There will be no lies, no tricks, only truth. From the far gate, the young alien prince entered. His armor gleamed like fire, his head high with pride. His name was Prince Zyron, heir of a warrior world. Every step he took was heavy with authority. The crowd cheered his name, though some cheered more out of fear than love. Zyron stopped at the center, standing across from Daniel. His tall frame towered over the human, his glowing blue skin pulsing like stormlight. He looked down at Daniel with contempt. "Weak creature," he said loudly, his voice echoing. "You mock us with tricks. You eat poison as if it were nothing, and now fools whisper that humans are strong. But today I will end this lie. Today you prove yourself or die." Daniel met his eyes calmly. "I'm not lying. I told you it's just an apple." The crowd gasped at his boldness. No one spoke so simply to the prince. Zyron raised his hand, and a servant stepped forward, holding a tray with 3 red apples. They glowed under the sun, sweet and deadly in alien eyes. Even the smell made some students cover their faces. "Eat," Zyron commanded, his voice sharp. "Not 1, not 2. All 3. Do it here before the eyes of the academy. Then we will see what you truly are." Daniel looked at the apples, then back at Zyron. A grin tugged at his lips. "All 3? Fine." He picked one up casually, as if it were nothing more than a snack. The first bite crunched loud. The crowd gasped, some screamed. He chewed slowly, enjoying the tension that filled the air. He finished the first apple quickly, tossing the core aside. "1," he said, wiping his mouth. The second apple followed. Bite after bite, Daniel stood firm, his breathing steady. Sweat ran down his temple, but not from poison, from the heat of the suns above. He swallowed the last piece and held up his hand. 2. By now the arena was chaos. Some aliens shouted that he was cursed. Others cheered in awe. The elders whispered among themselves, their eyes dark with thought. Daniel picked up the 3rd apple, raised it in the air, and took a slow bite. The juice dripped down his chin as he chewed. He swallowed, raised his head, and looked straight at Prince Zyron. 3. The crowd exploded. Shock, fear, disbelief, it all rose at once. Some fainted. Others shouted blessings or curses. The arena shook with voices. Zyron's face twisted with rage. He had expected the human to fall, to collapse in pain. Instead, Daniel stood strong, alive, and calm. The prince's pride burned. He clenched his fists, his body glowing brighter with fury. "This cannot be," he roared. "No creature can survive this. You are unnatural. You are dangerous." Daniel stepped closer, looking up at him. His voice was steady. Or maybe I'm just human. The silence that followed was heavier than stone. The crowd stared, caught between fear and wonder. The High Master finally lifted his staff. His voice was low but carried across the arena. The test is complete. The human has eaten the forbidden fruit not once, not twice, but 3 times. And yet he stands. The truth is undeniable. Humans are immune. The words echoed through the academy like thunder. Daniel stood tall, his eyes meeting the crowd. He had not come to prove power, only truth. But now he realized he had become something more. He was no longer just a student. He was a symbol, a living mystery that even the great alien academy could not explain. And somewhere in the shadows, the elders whispered to one another. If humans can survive this, what else can they endure? What secrets still hide in their blood? Daniel wiped his hands, feeling the weight of every eye on him. He had passed the challenge. But deep down, he knew something darker. This was not the end. This was only the beginning of something far bigger, something he might not be ready for. The arena was still trembling with voices long after Daniel had walked away from the test. Whispers filled every corridor of the alien academy. Students spoke in hushed tones, afraid yet eager to share what they had seen. A human had eaten not 1, not 2, but 3 forbidden fruits, and he had survived as if it were nothing. To the aliens, it was impossible. To Daniel, it was just lunch. In the council chamber, the elders gathered in shadows. Their tall bodies leaned over glowing tables, their eyes burning with unease. The High Master stood among them, his golden robes dim under the weight of the truth. This cannot remain a mystery, one elder hissed. If humans can survive what kills us, then they may hold other secrets too. Secrets, another whispered, that could make them either allies or enemies too dangerous to exist. The High Master raised his hand for silence. We must search the archives. Long ago, explorers first discovered the earth fruit. Records said it was poison to all living things, but no one tested humans themselves. Perhaps the truth has been hidden all this time. Ancient books and crystal records were brought forth, glowing with faint light. The elders turned the pages, symbols shifting under their fingers. And there, hidden in the oldest texts, they found the truth. It was written that countless alien travelers had died from the fruit. Warriors, healers, even machines that copied living flesh. None could survive a single bite. But in one faint line, nearly erased by time, there was a note. Only the humans of Earth eat it freely. For them, it is food, not poison. The elders froze. The council chamber fell silent. So it was known, one whispered. Known and forgotten, another said. Or hidden, murmured the High Master darkly. Perhaps someone did not want this truth revealed. Meanwhile, Daniel sat alone in his quarters. The guards had left, though spies still watched him from the shadows. He pulled another apple from his bag, turning it in his hand. Its skin was red, smooth, shining in the dim light. He smiled faintly and took a bite, the crunch echoing in the small room. To him, it tasted like home. But he could feel the pressure building around him. The academy would never see him as just a student again. He had become a puzzle, a danger, maybe even a weapon. The door opened suddenly, and the young alien girl who had screamed in the hall earlier slipped inside. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, her face pale with fear. Why, she whispered. Why does it not kill you? Daniel set the apple down and leaned forward. Because it's normal for us. On Earth, children eat these. My people grow them everywhere, on farms and gardens. We even make juice from them. Her jaw dropped. Juice from poison? Daniel chuckled softly. It's not poison to us. It keeps us healthy. Maybe we're built differently. Maybe our bodies fight it. I don't know. But for us, it's life, not death. The girl shivered. If that is true, then humans are stronger than anyone believed. Daniel's smile faded. Stronger? Maybe, or maybe just different. He sighed and leaned back. But the others won't see it that way, will they? They'll be afraid. They'll call me dangerous. They'll want to test me again and again. She nodded slowly. The elders already whisper of it. Some say you should be studied, cut open to find the truth. Daniel's eyes narrowed. He had expected fear, but not this level of cruelty. His heart pounded, though he forced his voice to stay calm. Then I must be careful. If they see me as an answer, I live. If they see me as a threat, I die. The girl hesitated, then stepped closer. There is more, she said softly. In the archives, the records say humans can survive things others cannot. Heat, cold, hunger, even poisons. It is written that your kind adapts where others fall. Daniel felt a chill. He remembered the hard winters of Earth, the deserts, the storms, the sicknesses his people had survived for centuries. Maybe it was true. Maybe humanity's greatest strength was not power, not speed, not brilliance. It was survival. A knock thundered at the door, making the girl jump back. The guards entered, their weapons glowing. "The council summons you," human one said coldly. Daniel rose slowly, his eyes hard. He knew what was coming. They had read the records. They had seen the truth. Now they would decide what to do with him. As he walked down the long corridor, the whispers of students followed him. Monster. Miracle. Immortal. But Daniel kept walking, his face calm, though inside his heart was heavy. He knew the secret was no longer his. The Alien Academy now understood what humans truly were, survivors. And that secret, once revealed, could change everything. When the great doors of the council chamber opened, all eyes turned to him. The elders sat in a half circle, their faces grim. The High Master's voice was low but filled with power. "Human," he said, "you are no longer just a student. You are a mystery that must be solved. The secret of your kind is now before us all, and we will uncover it, whether you wish it or not." Daniel stood tall, meeting their gaze. He did not speak, but his silence carried weight. For he knew this was the moment the Academy stopped seeing him as a boy, and began seeing him as something far greater. The council chamber was heavy with silence after the High Master's words. Daniel stood in the center, his back straight, his eyes sharp. The elders leaned forward in their thrones, their robes whispering as they moved. Around the hall, students and teachers watched from the balconies, their faces tense. Everyone knew this was no longer just about an apple. This was about what humans truly were. The High Master's voice broke the silence. "The human has shown us he can survive the forbidden fruit. Our records confirm it is not poison to his kind. But this truth divides us. Some say humans are dangerous and must be controlled. Others say they are a gift, a species to be studied and learned from." A murmur spread across the chamber. An elder with silver skin and eyes like glass rose to her feet. "Danger," she said coldly. "If they can eat what kills us, what else can they endure? Fire? Acid? The void of space itself? Their kind may walk where we cannot. That makes them a threat." Another elder stood, his voice softer but firm. "Or perhaps it makes them allies. Imagine what knowledge they carry. Imagine what we could learn. They could guide us into worlds that are deadly to us but harmless to them." The room erupted in whispers. Some nodded, their faces bright with curiosity. Others frowned, their jaws tight with fear. The division was clear, fear on one side, admiration on the other. Daniel listened quietly. He had expected suspicion, but now he saw something deeper. The aliens did not only fear his survival, they feared what it meant. To them, difference was danger. To him, it was normal. From the balcony, Prince Zyron stepped forward, his armor gleaming under the light. His voice thundered through the chamber. "This human is no ally. He is a weapon. Today he eats fruit, tomorrow he will eat poison, fire, and perhaps even our worlds. If humans can survive what we cannot, they will one day rule us. I say destroy him now before his kind spreads." The crowd roared in response. Some shouted agreement, their voices sharp with fear. Others shook their heads, crying out against the prince's cruelty. The young alien girl who had spoken to Daniel earlier rushed forward. Her voice was clear, though her hands trembled. "No, he is not a weapon. He is a person like us." He did not lie. He did not fight. He only told the truth. How can truth make him dangerous? Her words struck like a spark. Some students shouted in support. Others hissed, their fear twisting into anger. The chamber shook with division, the voices clashing like storm winds. Daniel finally spoke, his voice steady but strong. "Listen to yourselves. You are fighting over fear. I am not a monster. I am not cursed. I am just human. On Earth, apples are nothing. But here they are everything. That is not my fault. It is only difference." The crowd grew quiet for a moment, his words cutting through the storm. But Prince Zyron snarled. "Difference is danger, and danger cannot be allowed to live." The High Master struck his staff against the floor, sending out a wave of silence. His eyes glowed with power as he looked from Daniel to the crowd. The Academy cannot survive with fear dividing us. A choice must be made. Do we study the human or do we condemn him? The silence that followed was sharp and heavy. Outside the chamber, the division spread through the Academy like fire. In the dining halls, students argued fiercely. Humans are monsters, some shouted. They can survive anything. They will conquer us. Others answered back, no, they are survivors, not killers. They endure. They do not destroy. Teachers debated in secret rooms. Guards whispered in the barracks. Even the servants spoke of nothing else. Everywhere, the academy split into two sides, fear and admiration. Daniel sat alone in his quarters once more, staring at the apple in his hand. He turned it slowly, watching the red skin shine under the dim light. He could hear the voices outside, shouts, arguments, even threats. He felt the walls closing in. The young alien girl slipped into his room again, her face pale. They are dividing, she whispered. Some want you protected, others want you destroyed. The academy is breaking apart because of you. Daniel sighed, taking a slow bite of the apple. The crunch echoed in the quiet room. He swallowed, then looked at her. Not because of me, because of fear. Fear always divides. But fear is not the truth, her eyes filled with worry. What will you do? Daniel leaned back, his voice calm but heavy. I will do what humans always do. I will survive. The next day, the academy gates shook as angry voices rose outside. Half the students gathered with torches, demanding the human be removed. The other half stood against them, shouting for peace, shouting for knowledge. The alien academy, once a place of unity, had become a battlefield of belief. And in the center of it all was Daniel, the boy who had eaten the forbidden fruit and shown the galaxy a truth it was not ready to face. The alien academy had become a storm. Voices clashed in every hall, in every chamber. Students shouted in anger, teachers whispered in fear, guards stood uncertain. Some called Daniel a monster, others called him a miracle. But all agreed on one thing: the academy would never be the same. Now Daniel was summoned to the Grand Council, the highest seat of alien power. The chamber doors opened with a heavy groan, and he stepped inside, his face calm, though his heart beat fast. He walked across the long silver floor, the sound of his footsteps echoing. At the far end sat the Council of Elders, their eyes glowing in the shadows, their robes heavy with age and power. The High Master stood at the center. His voice was sharp and heavy. Human, you have shaken the foundation of our academy. You ate what we feared and you survived. You have divided our people. Today you will answer. Daniel lifted his chin, meeting their eyes. I told you already. It is not poison to us. It is only food. A murmur spread among the elders. Some frowned. Others leaned forward with interest. One elder hissed, if your kind can survive this, then what else can you survive? Fire? Poison? The void? Are you immortal? Daniel shook his head slowly. We are not immortal, we bleed. We break, we die. But we do not give up. That is the truth of humans. We survive. The chamber grew still. Even the air felt heavy with his words. The young alien prince, Zyron, stepped forward, his eyes burning with pride and rage. Survival is power. If humans can live through what kills us, then one day they will rise above us all. They are a danger to our kind. I demand we end him now before his species spreads like a plague. Half the chamber erupted in agreement, their voices sharp with fear. Destroy him! End the threat. Others shouted back, no, study him, learn from him. He is proof of something greater. The division was alive even in the highest council. The High Master raised his staff and silence fell again. His voice was low but strong. Human, you stand at the center of fear and hope. You may speak before us all. Tell us, what is the truth of your people? Daniel took a breath. He felt the weight of every eye, every voice, every world pressing down on him. Slowly, he stepped closer to the council table. His voice was steady but filled with fire. The truth is simple, he said. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the smartest. But when the storm comes, we hold on. When the poison spreads, we endure. When the fire burns, we rebuild. We survive. That is what it means to be human. The words echoed across the chamber, filling the silence like thunder. The aliens stared at him, their faces pale with realization. Daniel continued, his voice softer but sharper. And if you fear that, then you do not fear me, you fear the truth. You fear what you cannot control. But survival is not a curse. It is our gift. And maybe, if you learn from us, it can be your gift too. The young alien girl who had defended him earlier stepped forward, her voice shaking but clear. He speaks the truth. He did not come here to conquer. He came to learn. And instead of killing him, perhaps we should listen. A wave of whispers swept through the crowd. Some elders nodded slowly, their eyes thoughtful. Others clenched their jaws, still filled with fear. Prince Zyron growled, his voice like fire. You speak pretty words, human, but I see only danger. And I promise you this, you may have survived the fruit, but you will not survive me. Daniel met his eyes calm as stone. Then we will see, Prince. Because no matter what you throw at me, I will do what humans always do. I will survive. The High Master struck his staff once more, silencing them all. His face was unreadable, but his voice carried across the chamber with power. The council will decide. The academy will decide. But one thing is clear, the human is not weak. He is not cursed. He is not a lie. He is a survivor. The words rang like a bell across the chamber. The students and teachers who had gathered outside heard them, and the message spread like wildfire. Across the academy, across the galaxy, the name of human would no longer mean fragile. It would mean something far more dangerous and far more powerful. Daniel turned and walked out of the chamber, his steps calm, his face steady. He did not look back. He did not need to. He knew the revelation was already burning in their hearts. And as he stepped into the light of the twin suns, one thought echoed in his mind, sharp and certain. This is only the beginning.